How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. Give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all. Hit the bell notification button and select all for all notifications so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams. Also, highly encourage you guys to head over to Twitch. Follow me there at Douglas447, capital D. It's got a Detective Pikachu picture. Hope you guys will friend and follow me there so you guys don't miss out on streams that I do there basically every other day. And in this video, we're going to be continuing on reading through our book series. We are, of course, reading with this being part 1 of the Chronicles of Unit 4, 11. It ends with Ash. And we're really close, guys, to the epic finale of the Chronicles of Unit 4 series. Not the universe, because the Chronicles of Unit 4 universe is going to continue on with the Final War trilogy, and the Unit 4 universe is also going to appear a little bit at the end of the final book of my book series, Stacy the Halo War. So the Unit 4 universe is going to tie into Stacy the Halo War as well at the end. So this is the second to last book of the Unit 4 series, but not universe. The universe is still going to keep going on. And I'm really looking forward to this. This one, before we get into the introduction and start reading it, I want to give you guys a little bit of information about this book. And if you guys want a copy of this book, let me know in the comment section. I'll send you guys a Microsoft Word document version via email. And if you guys want to read it on your own time or to read with me, just let me know in the comment section. And this book, honestly, was difficult to have to write. Because I was like, I want to stretch this out to be 12 books. And I was like, okay, I've got to somehow make it where book 11 feels like it has a purpose. Because a lot of times the book or the chapter or the prequel book or whatever you want to call it, film or whatever, before the epic conclusion, to me has always seemed to be a bit of a drag or a letdown. I think the best example to think of off the top of my head would be the Harry Potter film series, where Harry Potter, the Half-Blood Prince, the movie, at least, just to keep it in simple terms, the movie The Half-Blood Prince for Harry Potter was a drag. It was a lot of dialogue, not a lot of interesting character development happened. I mean, the best thing that happened was at the very end of Half-Blood Prince where Voldemort died. That was the, I wouldn't say the best, but the most entertaining thing that ever happened. And then eventually, that does pay off at the end with the Deathly Hallows. But Deathly Hallows is the epic conclusion. And to me, Half-Blood Prince, the storylines that are major that happened in that could have been put into the Deathly Hallows. Yes, it would have made the Deathly Hallows longer as a book, but they could have cut out some of the unnecessary fat from Half-Blood Prince, and that would have been a lot better. So what I wanted to do is, like, with the past 10 Chronicles of Unit 4, we've had Vader, we've had Ash Becca growing up, we've had Douglas Armstrong, Devon Armstrong, Dave Armstrong, Deborah Armstrong storylines, Ash Becca, Tom Becca, their grandparents. We've had, the Arm and the Korra Rising. We've had the Galaxy War, the Universal War, Darth Epte, Morg, Vader, Dr. Rice, Satan with Space Mageddon. And now with books 8, 9, and 10 so far, we've gotten into, the fact that in the past book, Sea of Disaster, Dave Armstrong, the dad in this book series for Douglas Armstrong, died. He sacrificed himself so that his son could move on. The leader of the core army, the leader of Unit 4, so he could live on. And we're going to see a little bit of that and the impact of that in this book. We're also going to see the impact of Dave's death also in a greater capacity in Chronicles of Unit 4 12, the final duel. And that's also going to carry over into the Final War trilogy. A lot of characters are going to die on both sides, and not only this book, but in the final duel. And one of the big things of why I did the Final War trilogy is that although you get to see some of the struggle and the loss and the feeling of we've lost so many people, even though the Chronicles of Unit 4 series is done, the war against Nikolai is done, there's no more evil. I try to go into the fact that both sides have lost a lot in this 4,000 plus year long war, but it didn't feel like it satisfied a lot of people. And that's one reason I ended up doing the Final War trilogy, is I wanted to dive into that a little more. So we're going to see a little bit of that taste of loss in this book. And in this book, we're actually going to locate the final object needed to destroy Nikolai Sith, and then the war is on. Both sides are going to start clashing. We've got the golden lightsaber, we've got the Book of Power on our side, we've got the ruby from the Red Moth gunship, we've got the 7 scrolls that was the primary focus of Book 10, so they got all that, and it's diving into a lot more with the Raiders. We got to see the Raiders a little bit more in Book 10, the Galatian generals, Hogwar, Edward, and Susan, and all these characters, they're going to all start playing much of a bigger role in this book. And then everything with Book 12, everything's going to come to an epic conclusion. Everything's going to come to a head. And you're going to find out exactly who wins or loses the final duel. So with that, guys, I'm going to stop rambling. And let's get into the introduction. And I hope you guys enjoy part 1 of the Chronicles of Unit 4:11. It ends with Ash. Enjoy. The Chronicles of Unit 4:11. It ends with Ash. Introduction. Unit 4 travels to Darod to retrieve the last item to destroy Nikolai, but the war is raging, and the final battle is looming. Unit 4 prepares itself for an upcoming battle of... Nope, that's wrong. Unit 4 prepares itself for an upcoming invasion of demon forces. New Heaven and New Earth are suddenly gone from space, and the Corps attacks the demon portal on the moon to prevent more armed forces from entering the universe. After all this, Unit 4 races to Thin Line in a desperate struggle to rally allies, and the Corps fleet prepares to defend the last Corps stronghold, Cassandou. Although it appears that the good side of the universe may lose the war against evil, one hope remains in the soul of one man with the power to destroy Nikolai, but at a cost. Chapter 1. The Antmine. Dear Amy Long, I have written this letter to you to tell you of my plans for the future. When I return from the planet Darod and Nikolai Sith is killed, I will marry you. When and where is still unknown. I fear that once I return, I fear that once I return with my team and the Book of Power, that the war will intensify. I wonder why God has sent us to collect these 9 items, but doesn't tell anyone how they will benefit the Corps. I do hope that soon all my questions and all the mysteries of the items are revealed to the Corps. I must go now and prepare to locate the last item to help the Corps destroy Nikolai. Your love and future husband, Douglas Armstrong. 2 hours earlier. Location, Yan 4. Unit 4 exited out of the DAAS-44 ship and entered their base, now to see Brittany Lewis, Amy Long, General Ultimate, and Jesus Christ. Welcome home, Unit 4, but the time has come to collect the last item to destroy Nikolai, said Jesus, handing Douglas another scroll from God. The war between good and evil, Core and R, is coming to an end, said Douglas in his mind. Location, Nikolai's armed ship. My lord, the portal on the moon is operating, and your demon forces are boarding armed ships, said Raider General Ted Art to Nikolai Sith. Good work, my general. Now, I will end this conflict between good and evil by killing the Corps on Yan 4, said Nikolai. Location, Yan 4. Jesus had just handed Douglas a scroll from God and was opened. You have done great collecting the 7 scrolls and preventing a Core Cloud disaster. I sincerely hope that your grief for Dave's death is coming to an end. But it is time to get down to business. The last item to destroy Nikolai is hidden inside of a cave on the planet Darod. The item is familiar to all of you, for it is the famous Book of Power. Retrieve the book and return to Yon 4 for further instructions. Good luck. God. I thought you destroyed the Book of Power after you sent Dr. Ice to hell during the Ice War, said Devon to Douglas. The book was never destroyed because I did not have the tool to do so, said Douglas. If you didn't destroy the book, then how did it disappear from the universe? Asked Ash. Simple. I had a strange vision after Dr. Ice's defeat and was told to teleport it to God, said Douglas. That's why he asked you for it, said Evan. What are you talking about? Asked Deborah. God knew that this day would come, so he decided to hide it to protect it, said Devon. That still doesn't make any sense. Why would God force us to retrieve the book if he already had it in his possession? Asked Ash. It could be a test, said Brittany Lewis. Whatever the purpose of God's plans, you four need to retrieve it no matter what, said General Ultimate. He's right. The more time we spend here, the easier it will be for Nikolai to destroy us all, said Douglas. Douglas and Devon looked at their future wives and gave them a kiss. Let's depart, said Douglas. Unifor walked out of their base house, entered the DAAS-44, and headed towards the northern part of Sector 7. Location, Yon 4. General Ultimate, we have received word from our core troops on Cassando that Nikolai's forces are headed this way, said Droid General Ace. Do not cause the Corps to go into emergency mode, said General Ultimate. What do we do to prepare for the upcoming onslaught? Asked Tree General Rosh. Have as many ships, fighters, and tanks placed in the underground hangar bay, ordered General Ultimate. Why not prepare to defend this planet against Nikolai's demon forces? Asked Droid General Ace. We can't win this battle. We need more forces, and we do not have the time to wait for reinforcements from Cassando, said General Ultimate. 5 minutes from Darod. Douglas, we'll be arriving on the planet Darod shortly, said Devon, on the DAAS-44's command bridge. Let me know when we have entered the planet's atmosphere while I write a letter to Amy, said Douglas. Douglas stood out of his chair, left the command bridge, and entered his room to write the letter. Location, Nikolai's armed ship. My lord, our forces are prepared to slaughter the forces on Yon 4, said Galatian General Hogwar to Nikolai. This is Nikolai Sith. We head to Yon 4 to complete the annihilation of the Corps, said Nikolai to all his demon forces on armed ships. This will be a quick end, said Galatian General Edward. The raiders entered the room Nikolai and the 3 Galatian generals were at. The time is coming where we must take action, said Raider General Sarah to Raider General Ted. We can't do the deed we have been given, said Raider General Paul Roberts. Paul's correct. We must keep this mission a secret, said Raider General Ted. The four Raider generals stepped forward to be alongside Nikolai and the Galatian generals to see millions of armed ships. Douglas finished his letter to Amy, teleported it into her hands on Yon 4, and entered the DAAS-44's command bridge. Douglas sat down in his command chair and watched as Devon landed the ship on Darod. Location, Yon 4. Tanks, ships, and fighters were being placed underground by the direction of Droid General Ace and General Ultimate. Amy, you need to get down below, said General Ultimate. Amy walked over to the general with Douglas's letter in her hand. I'm waiting for Unit 4 to return, said Amy. Then good luck to you, said the general. Amy raced away from the general and found Brittany, Devon's future wife, in Unit 4's base house. Location, DAAS-44. Landing the ship on Darod, said Devon. Unit 4 suited up on their weapons and devices, stepped out of the ship, and looked around to see a peaceful forest. This place looks like a natural trail, said Deborah. Unfortunately, this planet doesn't have a trail of concrete, said Devon. The team looked to see their shoes on a trail of soft dirt. Douglas pulled out of his backpack the 20 LC. Let's follow this trail and collect the Book of Power, said Douglas, leading the way towards a mountain range. 10 minutes later. The team arrived at the mountain and looked to see a hole in the ground with a ladder. What is the 20 LC reading where the Book of Power is located? Asked Devon. The book is right underneath us, replied Douglas. Let's get going, said Ash. Everyone hide, said Deborah. Unifor dashed into a nearby bush and remained silent. Mom, what's going on? Asked Douglas, whispering. I saw a gigantic creature flying around, replied Deborah. Weapons ready, said Douglas. The team members entered a clip of ammunition into their blaster rifles and still didn't see anything. There's nothing out here but us, said Devon. Devon stood up out of the bush, took 2 steps towards the hole in the ground, and was slammed in the back by a tail. Devon fell face first on the ground, turned on his golden lightsaber, leaped up, and chopped off the head of the creature. Are you okay? Asked Deborah, in a concerned mother tone. I am fine, Mom. Well, what is this? Said Devon. Looks like a gigantic butterfly, said Ash. We need to leave, said Devon. Why? What's wrong? Asked Douglas. Regular butterflies live with other butterflies, so where there is one, more are going to be hanging around, said Devon. Everyone duck, yelled Ash. Unifor lowered their bodies, and a fireball passed over them, impacting a tree. The team looked to see 6 gigantic butterflies. Get down in the hole, said Douglas, whispering to his friends. Unifor stood up, dashed for the hole, and jumped inside. The fire-breathing butterflies looked at their dead friend and flew away into the forest with its carcass. Location unknown. The team crash-landed onto a pile of sand, each person piling onto another. Get off of me, said Devon, being the one on the bottom of the pile. The group stood up and looked towards the ceiling to see what they thought. The group stood up and looked towards the ceiling to see that they were lucky to have a short distance. Let's try this again. The group stood up and looked towards the ceiling to see that they were lucky to have a short falling distance. Douglas, I think I know where we are, said Ash, pointing at a finger. Pointing a finger to a sign. Gold Rich Mine, said Douglas, reading the sign out loud. If this is a mine, then where are the workers? Asked Dave. I found something, said Devon. The team members looked down a pathway to see bones scattered in the sand. Listen up, guys. The book is in this mine, said Douglas, with the 20LC still in one hand. That is good to know. Which tunnel do we take? Asked Ash, showing the team 3 ways to continue. Douglas looked at the 20LC and stared at the tunnel with bones. This way, said Douglas, walking into the tunnel with the bones. The team continued the walk inside of the tunnel for 15 minutes, but to them it seemed like an hour. This is boring, said Deborah. Stop! Yelled Douglas. The group froze their feet in the sandy ground and looked around to see wires underneath the sand. How do we continue onwards without being blown up? Asked Ash. Devon kneeled down on the sandy ground and turned on the golden lightsaber. What are you doing? Asked Douglas. Instead of us tripping the mines, I'll just use the blade of my lightsaber, said Devon. Devon sliced a wire with his lightsaber, and the entire team watched all the wires lifted into the midair. Everyone find cover now! Yelled Douglas. Kaboom! Unifor looked to see that Devon had deactivated the mines, but created a gap in the tunnel's pathway. How do we get to the book now? Asked Deborah. Douglas looked down into the hole to see a ladder mounted on one side and the Book of Power lying on the ground. Great job, Devon, said Douglas. The group looked into the hole and began climbing down the rusty ladder. The team looked around to see that there was no more traps. Douglas walked up to the Book of Power, picked it up, and placed the item in his backpack. We have done it. We have collected all the items needed to kill Nikolai Sith, said Ash. The team turned away from the spot the book once laid and started up the ladder. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. The ladder began to rattle and eventually fell over onto Devon. Ash and Deborah helped Devon lift the ladder off of him, while Douglas looked at the spot the book once was. Bang! Unifor looked to see dozens of poisonous red ants appearing out of the sandy ground. The team members looked at Douglas, the fallen ladder, and realized there was no way out of the mine. Location: Nikolai's armed ship. Our ships are traveling as fast as they can, said Raider General Ted to Nikolai on the ship's command bridge. How much longer till we reach Yon 4? Asked Nikolai in his master chair. Less than 2 hours, my lord, said Galatian General Hogor. Do they, the Corps, know we are coming? Asked Nikolai. It is unclear of what the Corps knows about our movements, said Hogor. The Corps has no idea that we are coming to make a massive onslaught on Yon 4 with our bombers and warships, said Ted, keeping a deadly secret from Nikolai. Good. If they know that we are coming, then we will not be able to annihilate them all in one devastating slaughter, said Nikolai. Location: the ant mine. Unifor looked around to realize that this was the end of all of them. Everyone hold on to me, said Douglas, before using his teleportation powers. Zoom! Douglas had teleported the team onto the DAAS-44. Chapter 2. Onslaught on Yon 4. Douglas walked to the ship's armory and placed the Book of Power into a locker box with a ruby and seven scrolls already inside. Douglas walked to the command bridge to see the other team members ready to depart from Darod. Heading for the planet Yon 4, said Devon. 2 hours later. Location: Nikolai's ship. This is your lord, Nikolai Sith, said the evil one to his demon forces. Let the slaughter begin, said Nikolai. The Raider generals, Galatian generals, and Nikolai looked out of the glass window to see dozens of bombers heading for the core forces on Yon 4. Location: DAAS-44. The team was on the ship's command bridge and was stunned to see the army attacking the Corps' base. Devon, plot a course for our base house. Mom, activate shields. Ash, load missiles and cannons, ordered Douglas. The ship entered Yon 4's atmosphere to see bombers slaughtering the Corps base. Incoming fighters on our back, said Ash. Take care of them, said Douglas. Ash pressed a red button on his screen and watched as 3 hydrogen missiles destroyed the 3 fighters behind them. Devon, get us to our base house, ordered Douglas. The DAAS-44 landed on the surface inside of a heavily armored hangar bay. The team grabbed the 20LC, a 96R P-30, blast rifles, and ammunition from the ship's armory. The group exited out of their ship, opened a door to leave the armored hangar bay, and looked across the street to see the team's base house. We need to get to our house, said Douglas. Why? Asked Deborah. There is an elevator to an underground hangar bay that will protect us from the bombers, said Douglas. Unit 4, said a voice inside of the armored hangar bay. The team looked behind them to see Hamster General Billy, General Ray, and General Ultimate. Why aren't you guys underground yet? Asked Douglas. We haven't been able to access the main entrance without being bombed to death, said General Ultimate. We came this direction to use the elevator in your base's house, said General Billy. Kaboom! A bomb exploded on top of the armored hangar bay. We need to leave, said General Ray. Ash looked at the base's house to see Amy and Brittany, still waiting for Unit 4 to return from Darod. Listen up, people. We need to run as fast as person on fire to get to that building, said Douglas, pointing to the base house. Ready, set, go, said General Ultimate. Unit 4 raced out of the armored hangar bay first. Then General Billy, General Ray, and General Ultimate followed. Come on, people, run, said Amy, inside of the base house. Zoom! The group looked to see 2 armed bombers coming towards them fast. Faster! Yelled Douglas. Devon halted, placed a missile into the 96R P-30, and fired a missile at one of the armed bombers. Devon, get moving, said Douglas, already inside of the base house, with Ash, Deborah, General Billy, Amy, and Brittany. Devon reloaded the 96R P-30 and prepared to blast the second armed bomber into dust. Devon aimed the weapon, but before he fired the missile, General Ultimate and General Ray pushed Devon away. Devon looked at the 2 generals and then prepared to ask what they were doing, but was unable to when a bomb exploded on top of the 2 generals. Get up, said General Billy. Devon stood up and raced inside of the base house along with Billy. Where are the items to destroy Nikolai? Asked Billy. They are still in the DAAS-44, replied Ash. I'm going back for them, said Hamster General Billy. The cute hamster ran out of the base house to help save the Corps. Kaboom! No! Yelled Douglas. A bomb had killed Douglas's favorite general. Amy pulled Douglas away from the house's door, and the remaining 6 humans entered an elevator to the underground hangar bay. Location: Nikolai's armed ship. General Ted, prepare for our ground forces to land and finish them off, said Nikolai. The Raider generals left the armed ship, landed on Yan 4, and began to lead an army of 2,000 demon troops to kill any remaining core forces. That's going to do it for me, guys. Look forward to part 2 of this book coming out very soon. You guys have a good one. Bye. Yes, I killed the hamster general. Cry.